Harwich's notice board had details of quite a few jobs, but the ones he'd seen so far hadn't appealed to him very much. A lot of them were quite reasonably paid, but were the sort of thing that required a lot of muscle, like labouring on the construction of a new motorway, or humping boxes around in a factory or a warehouse. Whatever the pay was like in such jobs, Arthur felt that he wasn't cut out for that kind of work. The only two jobs which Arthur felt he could do without dying of exhaustion were guiding foreign tourists around London and the home counties, and standing outside Piccadilly Circus Underground station, asking people what soap, shampoo, bath salts or whatever they used. That is, doing market research for a company producing toilet preparations. The former paid more money, but Arthur felt that he wouldn't have much chance of getting it, as he wasn't a Londoner, and didn't feel particularly qualified to do it. So on the morning of the last day of term, he went to see the full-time secretary of the Students' Union at the Poly, and asked her how he should go about applying for the market research job. She told him she was rather busy at that moment, so he'd better leave it with her and come back in the afternoon. When he went back to see her, she told him she'd made an appointment for him to see a Mr. Coombs in room 407 in Fitzroy House in the Barbican in the City of London at 10 o'clock the following morning. Arthur managed to get there on time for his interview and was welcomed by Mr. Coombs. He started asking him lots of questions about London, and it gradually dawned on Arthur that he wasn't being interviewed for the market research job at all. Mr. Coombs's questions seemed to have no relevance whatever to that kind of work. There must have been some mix-up or other over the job reference numbers. Whatever the reason for the confusion was, Arthur had no time to think about it. While he was wondering whether he had better explain the misunderstanding, he was offered a job and asked if he could start the following day. He had to pick up a party of American tourists at 9 o'clock in the morning to take them to Hampton Court and Windsor Castle.
Section 2.
During the summer months, a person wandering through the streets of central London would be likely to see more foreigners of every nationality than he would Englishmen. Many Londoners would ask why they come, because they know for certain that it isn't for the sunshine or the excellence of the cuisine. Whatever it is they're looking for, more and more seem to come every year. Many people might say that they come for the traditions, to see the Queen and the changing of the Guard. The likelihood of their seeing the Queen is very remote, and one would have thought the changing of the Guard, however impressive, was hardly worth the trouble and expense of the visit. Others might say that people come to see the history, the old buildings, cathedrals and castles, places where the first Queen Elizabeth slept, the Tower of London, where many famous people had their heads chopped off. Perhaps they remember that the famous Dr. Samuel Johnson once said, "Whoever is tired of London is tired of life," and come to reaffirm their interest in remaining alive. Or they may have noticed the curious behavior of Englishmen visiting their own country, and bursting with curiosity about what kind of place such people come from, decided to see for themselves. Whatever the reason is, they seem to be well enough satisfied to tell their friends, who continue to pour in year after year.
Section 3. The Tower of London was first built by William the Conqueror for the purpose of protecting and controlling the city. As first planned, it lay within the Roman walls, but was enlarged late in the 12th century. The present buildings, which cover 18 acres, are partly of the Norman period, including the oldest and most important building, the White Tower. But architecture of almost all the styles which have flourished in England may be found within the walls. The tower has in the past been a fortress, a palace and a prison, and has housed the Royal Mint, the public records, and for a short time the Royal Observatory. From the 13th century until 1834, It also housed the Royal Menagerie, the predecessor of the London Zoo. The tower was occupied as a palace by all our kings and queens down to James I. It was the custom for each monarch to lodge in the tower before his coronation, and to ride in procession to Westminster through the city. Throughout its history, the tower has also been used as the principal place of confinement for state prisoners, including Anne Boleyn, who was executed in the tower, Sir Walter Raleigh, and, the most recent, Hitler's deputy, Rudolf Hess, May 1941. From the official guidebook, published by the Ministry of Public Buildings and Works. Dialogue.
Is everybody on then, mate? We should have left 20 minutes ago, you know. We'd better not be late for lunch again.
Hang on a minute, I'll just see. Could you all sit down, please, so I can just count you? 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. There's a couple missing, I think. Why ever can't they get back on time?
Who are we waiting for?
Don't know yet. Whoever it is, I could cheerfully murder them. Anybody know who it is that's missing?
Wherever we go, there's always someone we have to wait for.
It's Wilma and Mary Lou, I think.
Isn't that them, taking photos of each other by the gate there? Well, hadn't you better go and get them?
Yes, I suppose so. Oh, they're coming at last. Come on, ladies. We haven't got all day, you know. We'll never get to Windsor at this rate.
Those two are always keeping us waiting. Do you remember in Paris, honey, or was it in Rome? We had to wait at least 20 minutes outside the Leaning Tower.
Sorry, folks. Do you know who we've just been talking to? There was somebody from Temperance, Illinois. Young man, would you and the driver please just come out while I take a snapshot of you both? Mary Lou and I are dying to have one of you both.
Whatever next?
No, I'm sorry, ladies. We really must be off. Wait till we get to Windsor. Here, let me give you a hand into the coach.
Oh!
There we are.
Right. Can we go now?
Yes, that seems to be everybody.
Okay. If you'll just close the door, we'll be off.
Where are we heading for now?
Windsor.
Oh, is that where the old castle is? You know, I'm just crazy about old castles. We don't have any back home, you know.
Yes, they are quite interesting, I suppose.
Isn't that where the Queen lives? Do you think we'll have a chance to see her?
Well, I wouldn't count on it if I were you. We'll know if she's staying there, because wherever she is, you can see the Royal Standard. That's a sort of flag flying on the roof.
Oral Practice 1. Listen and repeat. A. Just count you. So I can just count you. Sit down, please, so I can just count you. Could you all sit down, please, so I can just count you? B.
To wait for. Someone we have to wait for. There's always someone we have to wait for. Wherever we go, there's always someone we have to wait for.
C.
By the gate there. Each other by the gate there. Taking photos of each other by the gate there. Isn't that them taking photos of each other by the gate there?
D.
You know? All day, you know? We haven't got all day, you know.
E.
You both? A snapshot of you both? While I take a snapshot of you both? Please just come out while I take a snapshot of you both. Would you and the driver please just come out while I take a snapshot of you both?
That's the end of Oral Practice 1. Oral Practice 2. You will now hear a dialogue in which you are going to take part. Listen, please.
Here, wait for me. I shan't be a moment.
Oh, no. Whatever are you doing now? We'll never get back to the hotel in time for lunch at this rate.
I must just get a picture of those marvellous-looking soldiers on horses over there. I wonder who they are.
I don't know, I'm sure. Whoever they are, I'm certain they'll be here tomorrow.
Rubbish. Anyway, they'll be riding past us in a couple of minutes. You go on if you like. I'll catch you up.
No, I'd better wait. You'll only get lost again, like you did in Stratford yesterday.
Just shut up and hold my bag for me. Ah, here they come now.
I don't know why you don't just buy some picture postcards. Look, they're selling some perfectly good ones in that kiosk over there.
Oh, no, it's not the same. Anyway, I like taking photographs.
Well, hurry up. Our guide will be wondering where on earth we've got to.
Now you will hear the dialogue again. This time you must talk to your friend and speak at the same time as the speaker on the tape.
Here, wait for me. I shan't be a moment.
Oh, no. Whatever are you doing now? We'll never get back to the hotel in time for lunch at this rate.
I must just get a picture of those marvellous-looking soldiers on horses over there. I wonder who they are.
I don't know, I'm sure. Whoever they are, I'm certain they'll be here tomorrow.
Rubbish. Anyway, they'll be riding past us in a couple of minutes. You go on if you like. I'll catch you up.
No, I'd better wait. You'll only get lost again, like you did in Stratford yesterday.
Just shut up and hold my bag for me. Ah, here they come now.
I don't know why you don't just buy some picture postcards. Look, they're selling some perfectly good ones in that kiosk over there.
Oh, no, it's not the same. Anyway, I like taking photographs.
Well, hurry up. Our guide will be wondering where on earth we've got to.
Good. Now this time you must talk to your friend on your own.
Here, wait for me. I shan't be a moment. I must just get a picture of those marvellous-looking soldiers on horses over there. I wonder who they are. Rubbish. Anyway, they'll be riding past us in a couple of minutes. You go on if you like. I'll catch you up. Just shut up and hold my bag for me. Ah, here they come now. Oh, no, it's not the same. Anyway, I like taking photographs.
That's the end of Oral Practice 2. Oral Practice 3. Listen carefully to the passage. When you've heard it once or twice, try to answer the questions in your book. People who go abroad as tourists see little of what the foreign country is really like. They don't very often go into people's homes, but spend their time in hotels, which are pretty much the same anywhere in the world. What they do see are the odd little things that have survived from an earlier age, like soldiers dressed in picturesque uniforms, ancient architecture, and so forth. Even the activities they're encouraged to join are very often far removed from anything that is connected in any way with real life. For example, one particular quite new tourist invention in this country is the so-called medieval banquet, where people sit at long tables eating food which they imagine is the kind of thing eaten by the barons of England in the days of Robin Hood. Every tourist who comes to England seems to find his way to Stratford-on-Avon, the birthplace of Shakespeare, whose existence today depends entirely on tourism and is the kind of town that the English themselves seldom think of visiting. That's the end of Oral Practice 3. Oral Practice 4. Listen, please.
I'm sorry, I came late.
But you're always coming late.
But you're always coming late.
I've lost my umbrella.
But you're always losing your umbrella.
But you're always losing your umbrella. Now you go on in the same way.
I'm sorry, I came late.
But you're always coming late.
I've lost my umbrella.
But you're always losing your umbrella.
Sorry, I've made a mistake.
But you're always making mistakes.
I've just quarrelled with Tom.
But you're always quarrelling with Tom.
I've just burnt a hole in the carpet.
But you're always burning holes in the carpet.
I've forgotten to wind up the clock.
But you're always forgetting to wind up the clock.
And I've left my bag on the train.
But you're always leaving your bag on the train.
I've spilt the milk.
But you're always spilling the milk. Oral Practice 5. Listen, please.
It's 5 o'clock and we haven't got any meat.
Hadn't you better go to the butcher's then?
Hadn't you better go to the butcher's then?
I've got no money.
Hadn't you better go to the bank then?
Hadn't you better go to the bank then?
Now you go on in the same way.
It's 5 o'clock and we haven't got any meat.
Hadn't you better go to the butcher's then?
I haven't got any money.
Hadn't you better go to the bank then?
I've got a headache. I need an aspirin.
Hadn't you better go to the chemist's then?
I haven't got a stamp for my letter.
Hadn't you better go to the post office then?
My tooth hurts.
Hadn't you better go to the dentist's then?
I've got a temperature.
Hadn't you better go to the doctor's, then?
We're out of bread.
Hadn't you better go to the baker's, then?
I feel like a glass of beer.
Hadn't you better go to the pub, then?
Oral practice 6. Listen, please.
Shall I ask Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones?
Well, whoever you ask, you'd better decide quickly.
Shall we go to Spain or to Italy for our holiday?
Well, wherever we go, we'd better decide quickly.
Well, wherever we go, we'd better decide quickly.
Now you go on in the same way.
Shall I ask Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones?
Well, whoever you ask, you'd better decide quickly.
Shall we go to Spain or to Italy for our holiday?
Well, wherever we go, we'd better decide quickly.
Shall we go by car or by plane?
Well, however we go, we'd better decide quickly.
Shall I go today or tomorrow?
Well, whenever you go, you'd better decide quickly.
Shall we buy a new car or a second-hand one?
Well, whichever we buy, we'd better decide quickly.
What shall we have for dinner?
Well, whatever we have, we'd better decide quickly.
Shall I buy a red dress or a blue one?
Well, whichever colour you buy, you'd better decide quickly.
Shall I buy a pound or half a pound of meat?
Well, however much you buy, you'd better decide quickly.
Oral practice 7. Listen, please.
I like listening to pop music.
Really? That's the kind of music I never listen to.
Really? That's the kind of music I never listen to.
I like riding in Aston Martin cars.
Really? That's the kind of car I never ride in.
Really? That's the kind of car I never ride in. Now you go on in the same way.
I like listening to pop music.
Really? That's the kind of music I never listen to.
I like riding in Aston Martin cars.
Really? That's the kind of car I never ride in.
I like looking at impressionist paintings.
Really? That's the kind of painting I never look at.
I like talking to men in bowler hats.
Really? That's the kind of man I never talk to.
I like driving along country roads.
Really? That's the kind of road I never drive along.
I like playing for village teams.
Really? That's the kind of team I never play for.
I like going to Chinese restaurants.
Really? That's the kind of restaurant I never go to.
I like going to West End shops.
Really? That's the kind of shop I never go to. Oral practice 8. Dictation. Cover up the passage and listen, please. In 1974, quite a large number of British holidaymakers woke up to find that their holiday was cancelled. This was because the travel firm they had booked their holiday with had gone out of business. Although they had paid for their flight and their hotel, they were still unable to go because neither the airline nor the hotel had received any money from the tour operator. Eventually they got most of their money back, but they had to go without a holiday that year. Now you'll hear the passage again, and this time you must write down what you hear. Stop the machine at the pauses. In 1974, quite a large number of British holidaymakers woke up to find that their holiday was cancelled. This was because the travel firm they had booked their holiday with had gone out of business. Although they had paid for their flight and their hotel, they were still unable to go because neither the airline nor the hotel had received any money from the tour operator. Eventually, they got most of their money back, but they had to go without a holiday that year. Now, here's the passage again. In 1974, quite a large number of British holidaymakers woke up to find that their holiday was cancelled. This was because the travel firm they had booked their holiday with had gone out of business. Although they had paid for their flight and their hotel, they were still unable to go because neither the airline nor the hotel had received any money from the tour operator. Eventually they got most of their money back, but they had to go without a holiday that year. Now check the dictation in your book. That's the end of Chapter 10.